Good evening. Tonight we are going to discuss the principles of Wiccan magic and how you can make them work for you. Remember, we're approaching magic today from a Wiccan perspective, so some of these principles will not apply if you are practicing magic from a different tradition. Wiccan magic is powerful and an often misunderstood thing. Defining magic is not always easy, and trying to explain how it works can be even more difficult. There are certain principles that can make the practice of Wiccan magic seem a little bit less daunting and even a little bit logical and more natural. These principles can also aid in the understanding of Wiccan magical ethics. So ethics do vary a little bit from tradition to tradition. For example, Wicca has the Wiccan Rede. If you are practicing magic from a different tradition, you probably won't have the Wiccan Rede at all. But that's fine. We're all a little bit different. We all approach magic differently because we are practicing from different traditions. So on to the actual principles. Short video today, I promise. So the following points are regarded as the very basic principles of Wiccan magic. First of all, magic is natural. It is not supernatural. Magic is contained within nature. We understand that magic just exists. Whether we use it or not, it's there. So it's not some weird force existing outside of nature. It exists in the world we already exist in. So it's not something weird and otherworldly. It is here with us. Magic requires effort. You will receive what you put into it, nothing more and nothing less. So this means that magic is not just going to happen. It happens because you choose, because you work at it, because you've decided you are going to make magic work for you today. It is not something that will happen on its own. So this one leads into the next. Magic is not spontaneous, at least not usually. Most spells require time to be properly effective. So you're not going to wake up in the morning and suddenly your magic just poof without any effort from you. It's not spontaneous. You have to work for it. Magic is not to be used as a game or a joke or to enhance your ego. This one is an ethical principle. It doesn't mean it can't be used for those things. It just means that from a Wiccan perspective, it should not be. Magic can be worked for gain, but only if it brings harm to none. Again, this is a Wiccan principle. Wicca itself does not say you can't use magic for personal gain. It just means that while you're doing that, you have to make sure you're not causing harm to another. So you can't take from another to benefit yourself. That's a basic ethical principle. Again, this one may not apply if you are practicing from a different tradition. Magic, at its source, is a divine act. This one's kind of important because in Wicca, everything is divine. Everything is from the divine. So when we are practicing magic, we need to remember that magic is divine and we should honor that. Magic certainly can be used for defense, but should never be used to attack. Again, this is a Wiccan principle. It's an ethical principle. It doesn't mean you can't use magic to attack. It just means that based on Wiccan principles and Wiccan theology, it should not be used to attack, only defend. This is a common theme in a lot of traditions, telling you that you can absolutely use magic to protect yourself if you have to, but you can't go on the attack. That's quite common. Magic is knowledge. So magic works for those who take the time to study it, who take the time to understand it, who take the time to acquire knowledge about it. It doesn't work randomly. So it works for you if you've made it work for you. You have to learn. Education is the key to magic. Magic is belief. For magic to work effectively, you must believe in it. This is one of the core foundations of magic across most different traditions. So magic will work if you are certain it will, if you are convinced it will, if you cast your spells with conviction and with belief and you know it's going to work, it has a better chance of working. Because A full half of magic is belief, your conviction, your certainty that the spells that you are casting or the magic you're sending out into the world is real and it will have the effect you want it to have. This means if you don't believe in the spell you're doing, don't waste your time. So if you don't think it's going to work, don't even bother. It's not worth it, because it's not going to work if you don't believe it will. That's just the way it is. Now, finally, and this one is certainly a Wiccan perspective, magic is love. Magic should be performed out of love. This doesn't mean you have to love everyone and everything. Nobody does. It means that magic should be an act of positivity, at least from a Wiccan perspective. You shouldn't sit around and cast spells out of revenge or a desire to hurt another. You should cast them because you want to help, or you want to do good, or you love. So there are ways to, for example, get revenge, but still cast a spell out of love. I'll talk more about that when I get into spell casting, which I'm not doing today. But there certainly are ways to approach things to get the same result, but for your motive to be a little bit less cloudy. Magic works best when your motives are crystal clear and when your motives are in keeping with your own practice. So yes, you can use magic for revenge, but if you approach it a little differently and instead cast that spell out of a desire to help, or out of a desire to love another or to love yourself, your results will be a little bit different, but you might end up at the same place. So motives matter. In Wicca, magic should be about kindness, positivity, and love, because otherwise you probably shouldn't be using it. You should go about it a different way. Motives matter. I've said that a couple of times, but it really, really does. So instead of casting a spell from a place of anger and revenge, cool down a little bit, find your center, and then find another motive for the same thing, because the motive and energy you put into a spell eventually is going to turn right back around and come at you. So you can do the same thing but with a different motive, and the energy that returns to you will be different. So it's important to make sure that the motive behind your magic isn't off the wall. Okay, keep it light, keep it calm, and you will see better things come back to you. Because remember, Wicca embraces the rule of 3. What you send out into the world is going to come back to you. So two people can cast the exact same spell, have a different motive, and end up with vastly different results. So watch your motive and keep yourself in check. That is all we're going to discuss today, because this video got a little bit longer than I had actually intended. I'm aiming for about 6 minutes. This is 8 now. So next time we will come back and we will talk about energy and magic and where that energy comes from and how you might be able to use it in your own practice. For now, blessed be.